Teachers, Ben Jennings here. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, but I'm excited to get with you guys and talk to you a little bit about this coming week's lesson. We find it to be in Mark chapter 14, verses 32 through 34. Sorry, 32 through 42, and the curriculum calls it willing. I definitely think that that's a theme in the verses in that passage. But the whole passage is about Jesus going and spending time in prayer in Gethsemane. And so I took a little bit different angle on it, although it's very, very similar to the points that are in the curriculum. And I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of walk you through exactly what that looks like. And so the big idea here is that we can grow in our prayer life, treating it as pivotal by learning from Christ's prayer time in Gethsemane. Here are four reasons for prayer from Mark chapter 14, verses 32 to 42. Um, we see that Jesus is going to prayer first of all for because there's a distress. He's definitely distressed. It says in verses 32 to 42, and they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit ye here while I shall pray." There's that emphasis on that word prayer. This is clearly why he's here. And he taketh with him Peter and James and John, and began to be sore amazed and to be very heavy. This is where I get the idea of distress. He's very, very heavy, it says. It says in verse 34, and saith unto them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful unto death. Tarry ye here and watch. That idea of watching is staying awake to pray. And so he's telling his disciples to pray. He's saying the reason for his prayer is he's exceedingly sorrowful unto death. Now, this is relevant because this is probably well, not probably, no one has ever faced what Jesus was about to face. He was going to think about this. He was going to have on him the sin of the whole world. He was about to bear the wrath of God for sin for every human being that's ever lived. That is an unbelievable thing he's about to deal with. And so he is definitely in distress. And sometimes we make it kind of like we mock the idea um, of someone praying only when they're in distress. So I totally get that. But there certainly is uh, a sense in which that we should pray when we are in distress. There's nothing wrong with praying. In fact, we should pray when we're in distress or in difficulty. Jesus is about to face something super difficult, and he goes to prayer. Here's the next reason: prayer for surrender. We know that Jesus was already surrendered. He can't sin. He's sinless. But if Jesus prayed a prayer of surrender in this moment, I think it's a good example for us. Consider verses 35 and 36. It says, and he went forward a little and fell on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. Here you have Jesus um, saying something about the heaviness of what's about to happen, the difficulty about what's going to happen, how horrible and awful this is going to be. At the same time, he was submitting to the Father's will in that. And there's something about prayer that is submitting to the Father's will. Um, if you think about Jesus' model prayer that he prayed for the disciples, that he gave to the disciples, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so there's that second reason is prayer for surrender. Here's a third one: prayer for battling temptation. In verse 37 to 39, he says this, and he cometh and findeth them, talking about Peter, James, and John, sleeping, and said unto Peter, Simon, sleepest thou? Couldst not thou watch, stay awake and pray, 1 hour? Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. What was the reason why? Lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit is ready, but the flesh is weak. And again, he went away and prayed and spake the same words. Here he's telling Peter, hey, a reason you need to stay up and pray is that is because you need to be ready for temptation, and you don't want to go into temptation without being prayed up. And so this is the third reason he gives to him. Here's the last one. You can go much further on that, applying all that to your life, but here's the fourth reason: prayer for endurance. Now, in this particular section, verses 40 to 42, the prayer time is basically over, but he's about to go face something, and he's going to do it. He's prayed so that he can be ready. Jesus has, and it's kind of intimated in the connection with Peter. He's about to endure these difficulties. He's about to go through what he's about to go through. In verses 40 to 42, it talks about being betrayed. And so Jesus has to endure being betrayed. He has to endure being crucified and doing all of that without sin and bearing the sin of the whole world. It says in verse 40, and when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Neither wist they what to answer him. And he cometh the third time and saith unto them, sleep on now and take your rest. It is enough. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise up, let us go. Lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. I think it's important that we pray because we don't. Jesus knew what was going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen in our lives, but we need to be ready to endure what we need to endure in life. And if we're not prayed up, we can find ourselves caught off guard, unsubmissive to God's will, not in the kind of place where we need to be. I hope that's helpful. I hope that shows some kind of faithfulness to the text and helps you understand why I came up with the points that I did. Do a great job Sunday. Praying for you. Bye bye.